The first stone in the landslide was a single, misplaced receipt. It was for a bouquet of flowers, stargazer lilies, my favorite, from a boutique florist I'd never heard of. It was tucked into the pages of Mark's Golf magazine, a magazine I was throwing into the recycling bin. The date on it was a Tuesday, 3 weeks ago. Our anniversary was on a Friday. He'd given me tulips that day from the grocery store. They'd wilted in 2 days. A cold, fine mist of suspicion began to settle over my life. Long day at the office? I asked that evening, my voice carefully light. He was scrolling through his phone, a faint smile playing on his lips. Oh yeah, the usual. Endless meetings. He didn't look up. The usual had become a shield for him, a blanket term for a life I was no longer part of. We'd been married for 12 years. I thought we were partners. We had the shared checking account for bills, the shared savings for our future, the dream of a lake house we were slowly funding. I was a freelance graphic designer, my income variable but solid. His was the steady, 6-figure anchor. That night, after his breathing deepened into the rhythmic purr of sleep, I did something I'd never done before. I slid his phone from the charger. My heart was a frantic drum against my ribs, a guilty, traitorous beat. His password was still our anniversary, a small, comforting fact in the growing darkness. I didn't look for texts with heart emojis or scandalous photos. I went straight to the banking app. His personal account, the one for his lunch money and golf games. The login failed. He'd changed the password. The mist of suspicion froze into a sharp, clear shard of ice in my gut. The next day, while he was at the office, I called our main bank, posing as him to check on a suspicious transfer. I knew his social security number, his mother's maiden name, the name of his first pet. The pleasant-voiced representative confirmed 2 large outgoing wire transfers over the past month. One for $25,000, another for $40,000, to an account listed only with a number in the name Alara Holdings, Alara. The name echoed in the silent house. It sounded like a whisper, a secret. I felt the world tilt. This wasn't an affair of the heart. This was a calculated financial evacuation. He wasn't just leaving me emotionally. He was planning to leave me destitute. I didn't confront him. Confrontation would make him seal everything shut, move faster. Instead, I became a ghost in my own home, a silent observer. I smiled at his jokes. I made his favorite meatloaf. I listened to his stories about tedious clients, all while my mind was screaming, "Who is Alara?" My salvation was my oldest friend, Sophia. Not just a friend, but a barracuda in a pinstripe suit. A divorce attorney who had seen the darkest sides of amicable splits. I met her at a quiet, out-of-the-way wine bar, and in the dim light I laid out the pieces. The receipt, the changed password, the wire transfers, the name. Sophia listened, her expression grimly satisfied, as if I'd just confirmed a deeply held, cynical belief about humanity. Alara Holdings is likely a shell company, Lena. He's siphoning your marital assets. He's building his life raft before he sets fire to the ship. The metaphor was so apt it made me nauseous. What do I do? First, she said, leaning forward, her eyes glinting, we build a better life raft. For you. The following week was a secret operation conducted in plain sight. I accessed our shared accounts online and downloaded every single statement from the last 5 years. I documented every direct deposit I'd made from my freelance work. I photographed the titles to our cars, the mortgage documents, the investment portfolios. I became an archivist of our shared life, building a fortress of evidence. Then, with Sophia guiding my every move, I began the transfer. Using my documented income as the justification, I legally moved the bulk of my savings, the money I'd earned, into a newly created, irrevocable trust under my name, managed by a third-party trustee Sophia recommended. It was perfectly legal, a protective measure for a self-employed individual. It was also a vault he couldn't crack. The money for the lake house, the money I'd scrimped and saved for my own dreams, was now safe. I felt a grim sense of power settling over me. The fear was still there, a cold knot in my stomach, but it was now joined by a steely resolve. The trap sprung exactly as Sophia predicted. 2 nights later, Mark came home early. He was uncharacteristically attentive, pouring me a glass of wine. He talked about the future, about new beginnings, his words slippery and vague. "Lena, honey," he said, his voice dripping with a false, soothing warmth. "You know how stressful finances have been, and with your work being so variable. I've been talking to a financial planner. He suggested we streamline everything. Put all our assets under one umbrella for better growth." He slid a folder across the kitchen table. It was a stack of documents dense with legalese. Power of attorney. Account consolidation forms. They were all pre-filled. All he needed was my signature. My heart hammered, but I kept my face a placid mask. I picked up the papers, pretending to read them. "This is a big step, Mark. It's for the best," he said, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "For our future. Just sign them and we can stop worrying." I looked at him. This man I'd shared a bed with for over a decade, and saw the stranger he had become. He wasn't asking for partnership. He was demanding surrender. "I'll need to have my accountant look at these," I said, keeping my voice even. "You understand. It's a lot of responsibility to just sign over." His smile tightened. "Of course, but don't take too long. These opportunities are time-sensitive." He filed for divorce 3 days later. The papers were served to me at my home office. They cited irreconcilable differences, but the attached motions were anything but amicable. He demanded sole control of all marital assets, alleging that my freelance business was a hobby and that I was financially irresponsible. He claimed I had secretly accrued debt and that he was taking control to protect us from bankruptcy. It was a breathtaking lie. But the masterstroke, the move that revealed the true depth of his malice, came 2 weeks later. His lawyer submitted an emergency motion to the court, alleging fraud. He claimed I had forged his signature on documents to illicitly move marital funds. He provided what looked like damning evidence, copies of transfer authorizations with a shaky, crude imitation of his signature. I sat in Sophia's sleek, modern office, holding the court documents, my hands trembling. "He's trying to have me arrested," I whispered, the horror of it washing over me. "He's not just trying to take my money. He's trying to destroy me." Sophia's face was a mask of cold fury. "This is his fatal mistake, Lena. He's not just lying. He's creating evidence, and we can prove it." The hearing was a spectacle. Mark sat at his table, playing the part of the wronged, bewildered husband. His lawyer painted a picture of me as a scheming, unstable woman bleeding him dry. When it was Sophia's turn, she stood with the calm grace of a predator moving in for the kill. "Your Honor," she began, her voice clear and cutting. "My client is indeed the victim of a massive fraud, but the perpetrator is not her. It is the petitioner, Mr. Evans." She then presented our evidence. First, the bank statements I had diligently saved, showing the wire transfers to Alara Holdings. Then the pièce de résistance, the documents Mark had asked me to sign. Sophia had sent them to a forensic document examiner. The petitioner provided these to my client, pre-filled and ready for her signature, as part of his scheme to gain total financial control, she explained. We have compared the signatures on the fraudulently submitted transfer documents to the signatures the petitioner himself provided. "They are a perfect match," a murmur went through the courtroom. Mark's lawyer began to sputter. Sophia continued, relentless. The petitioner, in his haste to frame my client, forged the evidence using the very documents he created. He was so confident in his plan to drain their accounts and leave her with nothing that he never imagined she would protect herself. The fraud he alleges is, in fact, his own. We have the digital footprints, the timing, the forensic analysis. He didn't just commit perjury. He built his own gallows. The judge's face was thunderous. He looked from Sophia's impeccable evidence to Mark, who had gone a sickly shade of gray. The dismissal of all claims against me was swift and absolute. Not only did Mark get nothing, but he was ordered to pay all my legal fees. The shell company, Alara Holdings, was subpoenaed, and the money was traced back to a personal account he'd opened in anticipation of his new life. That life was now a fantasy. The final divorce decree left me with my home, my business, and every cent I had protected. He was left with the legal bills and the smoldering ruins of his own reputation. I saw him one last time by chance at the grocery store. He looked older, diminished. He tried to glare at me, but there was no heat left in it, only the hollowed-out emptiness of a man who had gambled everything and lost. I didn't feel triumph. I felt a profound, clean quiet. The fear was gone. The knot in my stomach had unraveled. He had tried to erase me, to reduce me to a problem he could financially and legally dispose of. In doing so, he had given me the greatest gift, the undeniable proof of my own strength. I had outmaneuvered him not with hysterics, but with silence, strategy, and the cold, hard truth of documented facts. My future was no longer a shared dream he could shatter. It was mine alone to design. So, I'll ask you if you found the Reese.